Hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my full review of The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. This is the first book of the Mayfair Witches series, and you know what? Let's just lay down some ground rules here. I went into this book hoping for the best, really. Every ounce of me wanted to love this, considering it's 965 pages and the audiobook alone is 50 hours long. 50 hours. It's really long. So I really wanted to like this. I wanted to read it just in time so when the TV show comes out in January, I will have some frame of reference. And I read this whole book. And I'm just going to tell you right now, oh my, did I hate it. I hated it. What's more than hate? Like loathe? I loathe it. I would say a good 600 pages of this book is just the entire history of the Mayfair family witches. Really, all of them, since ever. So back in like the 1600s till now. All of them. And I'm sure not all of these Mayfair witches are important to the story because there's so many of them. And frankly, all of the gross sex happens with them. Excuse me while I throw up forever. It's just, this family is very inbred with each other to the point where it's just like, hello, this is my father and grandfather and uncle, all in one person. Like, oh my God, they're so inbred to this point. It's like astounding that they're not all hobgoblins. Like, how are they coming out people still? I am beside myself with this book. It's so gross. But anyway, let's get into this. It's gonna be bonkers. And you know what? It's so bonkers, like, I have forgone a glass. We're going straight out of the bottle in this one, everybody. Buckle up. I'm just going to talk about what the actual plot of this book is. I'm not going to go through the entire history of every single Mayfair that's ever been, because frankly, it's not the plot of the book. It's all history. I think I will do a separate video on that just for my patrons. So if you'd like to be a patron or a channel member, you can sign up and you will get the bonus video, which is the entire history of the Mayfair witches. But frankly, it's so gross, I think I would get demonetized. So let's just talk about what's going on in the here and now, what the actual plot of the book is. So this one starts off with like several chapters that are all over the place and are all just establishing the main characters. There's a lot of chapters that are from like other people's perspectives that aren't main characters in the story, and frankly, just so ancillary of a character that it doesn't matter what their story was. They're just there to talk about their like specific experience with the Mayfair family. But mind you, the experiences with the Mayfair family are so similar all the time that I'm not going to get into all of those. Just know there's many chapters from many different perspectives from many different people that aren't part of the story. But the whole reason they're there is because one of our main characters is Aaron Leiter. He is from the Talamasca. He's like an older British guy who's just like the most comforting man ever because he does have some psychic abilities, and I think probably one of his psychic abilities is also just like putting people at ease, so they like tell him a lot of secrets. He has just one of those faces, I guess. And he has been the main investigator on the Mayfair witches at this point. There have been other Talamasca members investigating this family since ever. And he's the most recent one, the current one. He's collecting all the data and the evidence. He's the first Talamasca member to really make contact with the family and not get murdered for it. So good job, Aaron. He's the main character throughout the rest of the book. Our other two main characters are Rowan and Michael. Rowan is Rowan Mayfair. She is a neurological surgeon, and she lives in California instead of New Orleans, where all of the Mayfairs tend to live. And she was adopted as an infant by like a Mayfair cousin and brought over to San Francisco and has no knowledge of the Mayfair family. She's been kept away from this family on purpose. And when her adoptive mother was dying, she made Rowan like sign a contract saying, I will never go look for the Mayfair family. Shit's real here. So like there's obviously something rotten in the state of Denmark, or, you know, the Mayfairs. There's something rotten here. And she doesn't really know anything about this side of the family. However, she does know that she does have some type of magical abilities. She basically has the ability to, like, I don't know, if I'm getting scientific with magic, she can, like, reorganize cells, I guess. But essentially, she can, like, with touch, she can heal people. She can, like, diagnose people. She can touch them and figure out exactly what's wrong with them. Like, if someone comes in with a brain injury, she knows exactly how to fix it because she can, like, read them through touch. So great, she can heal. That's an amazing gift. However, it's not the only gift she has. She can also kill people just by, like, thinking about it. So her powers are obviously still progressing, but she's always had the ability to either bring life or death simply by wanting to do it by will alone. So these are her abilities, and she's trying to make peace with the fact that she can kill people and has killed people with her ability by being a doctor and saving lives. This is the basis of Rowan as a character. Then you have Michael. He's like a middle-aged guy. He also lives in San Francisco, and he's been living his life. Rowan and him don't know each other until one night he drowns in the ocean, and Rowan is on her boat and pulls him out of the ocean, and she can touch him and tell he's not, like, all the way dead, so she does, like, CPR. He comes back to life. So this is how they meet. And Michael doesn't come out of that experience unharmed, so to speak. Like, he comes back with psychometry, which is basically you can touch an object and see its entire history. And his powers are also now progressing and changing and evolving. And he is freaked the F out. He wears gloves all the time. Everything he touches has a backstory. It's like a whole thing. And the other main part of his story is that whilst he was dead, he met with people on the other side, and they sent him back on a mission. They said, you need to do this, it'll save the world, etc. So he goes back, and for the life of me, can't remember what it is. He can't remember what was said. He's trying to. He gets flashes of it every once in a while. He doesn't know. He only knows that it's somehow connected to his childhood home in New Orleans. So Rowan, Michael, they both had the drowning incident, and now they both have this New Orleans connection. There's a lot of, like, weaving of backstories going on here. And eventually Rowan and Michael get back in contact with each other because Rowan didn't want any part of this. She's like, I saved him, bye, I don't want to deal with this. But then she's like, keeps thinking about him all the time. They're very much, like, cosmically drawn to each other. And Michael really wants to be able to get back onto Rowan's boat so he can use his psychometry so he can, like, touch the boat and see if that will help, like, jog his memories about what he saw while he was dead. So eventually she picks him up, she takes him to the boat, and he touches it. Ultimately, he doesn't really learn any more than he already knew. He just kind of realizes, like, oh, this was where I woke up. Like, he doesn't get any real flashes, so ultimately it didn't help him. But hey, they both think each other are sexy, and then, like, their romance is so crazy fast, it's absurd, where they just go bang the bejesus out of each other. And this was, like, consensual. Great. This is probably the only not gross sex in the book, is with Rowan and Michael. But they're also, like, desperately in love with each other, and they feel so connected, and, like, obviously they are. There's a lot of shit going on here in, like, the magical sense of things. And then Michael, he's like, I have to go to New Orleans because it's been, like, in my brain. It's calling me to New Orleans. I gotta go. And so, they stay with each other for, like, a little while, and then they can keep banging on this boat, and then eventually he gets on a plane to New Orleans, and she's like, okay, you gotta go do this. I love you, come back. Like, one of those things. So Michael gets on the plane. Guess who's on the plane with Michael? Aaron Leiter for the Talamasca. He's also going there. He's been following this story as well. He can tell it's connected, etc. So Michael is in New Orleans. Rowan is lonely later that night, and she sees a guy on her deck. And here's a big part of the story, okay? This is a spirit thing called Lasher. And Lasher is like a demon that has been attached to the Mayfair families since forever. Since there have been Mayfair witches, this entity has been attached to them. And Rowan has never met Lasher. Rowan knows nothing about Lasher. Basically, Lasher finally comes to her, finds her after her mother dies, her birth mother. So her birth mother was Deirdre, and Rowan doesn't know anything about her, but basically Deirdre got pregnant at 18 by one of her college professors, which is not true. They just tell people that, but it's she gets pregnant by Cortland Mayfair, which is her father, grandfather, and uncle, like at the same time. Remember I said this family was inbred? Like, oh my God, are they inbred? So, and that's not consensual. So she ends up having the baby and it gets taken away from her, kind of against her will. And then she just kind of gets drugged for the next 30 years. And so she's just like in a stupor from shock treatments and like Thorazine, like, basically. They're just trying to keep her away from Lasher, but it doesn't really work anyway. And finally, she passes away. Lasher comes to Rowan. However, Rowan doesn't know this. She just thinks there's a guy on her boat. So she's like, oh my God, I'll shoot you, bitch. And he just kind of disappears. And she finally gets a phone call, and it's from Carlotta Mayfair. Now, Carlotta, she's like, I'm going to say second tier characters here, because she's kind of like the family Karen. She is abrasive and awful and not always wrong about things. Like, I'll give her that. She's not always wrong about stuff. But, like, the way she goes about being right is awful. Karen. Anyway, Carlotta, she's a lawyer. She calls her. She's like, hey, guess what? Your mom's dead. And she's like, I don't know who anybody is. So she's obviously distraught by this because she's never even met her mother, her birth mother at all. And now she's dead. So she'll never be able to meet her. It's a lot to hear. And something just kind of snaps in Rowan finally where she's like, I'm going to break the promise I made to my adoptive mother and I'm going to go to New Orleans. Because Carlotta tells her as well, she's the inheritor of the Mayfair estate. So since she is like, you know, the new witch in line, she inherits everything. Like billions of dollars and a house in New Orleans and like everything. She's like the inheritor of everything. So she's like, well, I should go figure this out. So she also gets on a plane to go to New Orleans. So now everyone's just convening there. Michael and Aaron arrive. Michael, he goes straight to the Mayfair house once he gets off the plane. He sees Lasher there, and he's been seeing Lasher since he was a little boy. So he's like, it's the same guy I've been seeing since I was a little boy. What is going on here? Luckily, Aaron is there to snap him out of it before, like, Lasher does something to him. So Aaron and Michael kind of become buddies at this point. They go back to the hotel. They have a bunch of drinks. Aaron's like, listen, like, I'm from the Talamasca. We like study the supernatural and like I had been following your case because of your like psychometry. And also now you're attached to the Mayfair witches and like, boy, do I know a lot about the Mayfair witches. and he explains like how what the man is and how he's attached to the family and how Rowan's attached to this. And Michael's like, oh, I need to call Rowan right now. She needs to know all of this. And Aaron's like, give me a minute. Like, you should probably read this book. Like, thump. Like, he hands him like a tome and says, like, you should probably read the entire history of the Mayfair witches. Michael had to read it too. So, like, it makes me feel slightly better that I wasn't the only one who had to read this, even though he's a fictional character. After reading that, he can decide what parts of it he wants to tell Rowan because there's fucked up stuff in there. Hello, this is my father, grandfather, uncle. Like, there's a lot. Okay, so Rowan, while she's on the plane to New Orleans, right? She has this very vivid sex dream about Lasher. And so vivid, in fact, it's actually happening, but like in a dream, but actually happening to her body. So she's literally getting ghost banged on a plane without any consent. She feels quite violated afterward because, like, what just happened? I got fucked by a ghost on a plane? Like, like, yeah, she got fucked by a ghost on a plane. Like, moving on, after that, she lands in New Orleans. She goes straight to the funeral. She wants to see her mother at least once, see her face. She goes to the funeral, and, like, she is just inundated with every Mayfair that's alive. Like, there's just hundreds of them. And she's like, ah, la, 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 just like, oh my God, I'm at a funeral for my mother and now I know everybody. It's like a lot. However, luckily Aaron is at the funeral and he kind of came to like intercept Rowan or like just look out for her because he does care about Rowan and the Mayfairs. He just doesn't want her to be like overwhelmed and freak out. So he's like, listen, I'm with Michael. I know you guys like love each other. He's hanging out at my house. Like, you do you, and then I'll take you over to Michael. And she like feels better. And she finally meets also Carlotta in person. And Carlotta's like, hey, you should come back to the house. I'll explain things to you. Mind you, she doesn't know Carlotta. Carlotta's the worst. You don't want Carlotta to explain anything to you. She'd probably go around telling children Santa isn't real just for fun. She's awful. So Rowan goes over to the house to speak with Carlotta. And Carlotta actually kind of reveals herself. This is the most we really find out about Carlotta. We know her backstory from all the history, but we actually find out she's actually a really powerful witch. No one really knew because she's very secretive and didn't really want to do anything in the family, but she's a super powerful witch, kind of Rowan's level powerful, and was actually supposed to be the inheritor of, you know, the Mayfair tradition. She was supposed to be the inheritor, but so thoroughly denied it. And Lasher, she told Lasher to go fuck himself so thoroughly, it skipped her. So she didn't get the inheritance, it went to someone else. She's fine with that. Because part of the inheritance is also, like, incest. I get it. Carlotta, you're not wrong, but, like, it doesn't go well from here on out. This is the only okay part of the conversation. And she admits to a lot of stuff. She shows Rowan all these fucked up things in the house. And here's this, like, a sneak peek at the fucked upness of this house. There's a whole room that's full of jars of heads. Like, human heads! Just jars of heads. I'm not even going to tell you where the heads came from, because frankly, that's really gross. Not there's a head in the jar, that's gross on its own. Why the heads are in a jar? Oh my God! Like, I'm not going to get into it. Blah, excuse me while I throw up forever. The weird sex in this family. Like, I'm going to have nightmares about it. It's horrible. But anyway, she goes on and shows, like, Rowan all this evil shit in the house. Just like a dead body in the attic. Just like, it's a lot. She literally just got there. She just got off a plane. And like, this is a lot to deal with. And Carlotta tells her all these things about how she killed Antha, which was Rowan's grandmother. And then she was the cause of Deirdre, her mother, like being put into all these mental institutions and shock treatments and Thorazine for 30 years. She did it to her on purpose, just to try to break the chain with Lasher. And just because she was trying to rid the family of like an evil spirit doesn't undo all the evil, manipulative, fucked up stuff she did to people in this family. Oh my word. And just like no sense of self-preservation in this lady. She's just like laying it out, just being the most awful person in the world. It's like, hey, guess what? I killed your grandma and your mom. Fuck you. And like Rowan loses her shit finally. She's like, this is a lot. Fuck you, lady. I don't know what your fucking deal is. Well, I do kind of, and you're the worst. Die. And like, so she dies. She kills Carlotta. Rowan kills Carlotta. And Rowan feels quite bad about it. She doesn't want to kill people. She's like, ah, fuck, here we go again. Like, she ends up killing Carlotta kind of accidentally. It was more like a self-preservation instinct, you know, like a fight or flight response. And it came out of, you know, the fight, which is die. So Carlotta just dead. Now she has a dead body in her house. 2 of them. There's one in the attic too. But luckily, shortly after, Michael comes to the house with Aaron. And she's like, Michael, I'm sad. And he's like, oh my God, okay, Carlotta's sad. Okay, I'll take care of this. Go sit down. This is a lot. So he calls all the right people. Carlotta gets taken away. You know, she's like 90 as well. So it's natural causes, essentially, what everyone thinks. And Rowan calms down. And Michael takes her back to the hotel. He's like, hey, don't stay in the house with all the dead bodies in it. Let's go to the hotel. This is a good choice. And Rowan's like, I like the way you think, Michael. So they go back to the hotel and they bang the bejesus out of each other round 2. So they just keep going at it. And frankly, good. if all the sex in the book was just Rowan and Michael having consensual banging, awesome. I would love that. However, nope, they just couldn't leave well enough alone. However, Michael also has the Mayfair Witches file at his hotel room, so when they're done banging and Michael's sleeping it off, Rowan reads the whole file. So Rowan finally meets with Erin. He tells her everything that he knows as well, and she's like, cool, thank you for telling me, like, we should be friends. I like that you're friends with Michael. So, like, now Erin finally has an in with the Mayfair Witches where no one's trying to murder him, so he's a very accomplished Talamasca agent. And so Michael gives her space because he knows that she read the file and she went to the house. He comes over to the house later that night and he's like, hey, how are you doing? And Rowan, surprisingly well adjusted at this point. She just needed like a nap and a good fuck. And like she's doing a lot better mentally, I guess. I think both of them have just hit like the fuck it moment where you're just like, I'm in a shitstorm, but there's nothing I can do about it. I might as well just ride it out. I don't know. Fuck it. There's nothing we can do. Let's just be happy and in love. And like, we'll like do a home renovation. Michael, he owned like a home renovation company in San Francisco. This is his like jam. So she's like, let's fix up the house. All the bodies are out of it now. Like, this is great. And so that's what they do for like so long. Like, there's probably 100 pages of them like doing a house remodel. Like, so much. Like, I don't care what drapes you picked. They have no influence on the story. But there's so many pages of them describing like the kitchen fixtures and like the drapes and like what bedspreads they had. None of it's useful. It's just so much descriptive language that doesn't really need to be there, but whatever. There's a lot of home remodeling in this. And that's what they do. They just kind of like ride out the shitstorm together. Let's remodel the house and be in love. And it's going okay so far, it's doing all right. Like, Lasher really hasn't come around Rowan at all since the plane incident because she has such a burning hatred for him because he ghost fucked her on a plane. She feels violated. She hates him. And it's like so intense, this like get the fuck away from me vibe that like Lasher is just staying away for his own safety. So like, so far so good. She doesn't have to deal with evil demon spirit attached to her. Great. So like I was saying, Michael, he's doing the home renovations. He's doing the remodel. However, you gotta touch a lot of stuff when you do a home remodel. He goes through just a shitstorm of his own where he touches too many things, too many memories get all flooded into his body. He learns a lot about the history of the Mayfair Witches and like all of like the weird fucked up secrets that like Rowan didn't even tell him about. He starts touching too many things. And like this is also a really long period of the book where he just goes through a phantasmagoria of like Mayfair history through psychometry. But the main thing that comes out of this like whirlwind of like Michael's losing his mind is that he figures out why Lasher's around in the first place. Lasher's been attached to the family through a magical thing, but why does he keep staying? Like, is he bound? Kind of no. Why does he keep staying? It's because there's something in the Mayfair Witch's abilities or powers that will somehow allow him to have a human body. Because he's a spirit. He doesn't have a body. He wants a body. Something with the Mayfairs will give him a body. And he's been like manipulating them for like 400 years to this point. To like get them to a point where he can like have things work out where he'll get a body. This is Lasher's goal. As the renovations continue, you keep waiting for that other shoe to drop because you're like, wow, things are going really well. Lasher seems not to be bothering anybody besides Erin, where he's just causing mischief and Erin keeps getting into like little accidents where like he'll fall down a couple stairs or like little things. He keeps getting injured. He's fucking with Erin. Dick move, Lasher. But everything's going okay, so you're waiting for like that other shoe to drop. And this whole home renovation story just starts becoming a haunted house story. There's like weird visions, things moving on their own, flowers appearing out of nowhere and like growing and changing and stuff. There's just a lot of weird shit happening. But besides the haunted house elements, Michael and Rowan still have their fuck it pact. We're like, we're just gonna be happy. We're choosing this. We're choosing to be happy and in love and ignore all the bullshit. So they continue doing that. They're like, hey, we should get married. And they're like, this is the best idea. And they start doing all the wedding planning, and there's like family meetings and everything just keeps progressing again. Besides like the little poltergeisty haunted house activity, everything is still kind of going well. When is the fucked up shoe gonna drop? You know, it kind of dropped with the poltergeist activity, but like, when is it gonna hit? I'm waiting for like that big climax where it's just gonna be like all shit hits the fan. Seriously, this book just edges you with it for the whole time, because you're watching people be happy knowing that something fucked up's gonna happen for like so long. Like I was saying, 965 pages of it, just edging your reader. But anyway, the wedding, right? They plan it out, they do it, the wedding goes great, it's a lovely affair, like they have it at the Mayfair house, and it's all renovated and beautiful, everyone's happy. At this point, okay, great, you're married, everything's gonna be beautiful, you had a wonderful reception. Lasher finally shows back up again. And now he's starting to fuck with Rowan, because like he shows up and he's changed his appearance, so now that he looks more like Michael, so Rowan will be into him. And Rowan, like, as much as she like doesn't like Lasher, she has a strong dislike for him, she's also very curious about him. I think the book alludes to it being like kind of maybe a curse or something, or just something in the Mayfair DNA where they're very drawn to Lasher, even against their better judgment. And Lasher knows he's kind of got her on the hook. He's like, listen, if you tell anybody that we're like talking now, like I'm just not going to come back anymore, and you'll never get to talk to me again. And Rowan, god damn it, Rowan, she should have been like, great, that's the best thing you've ever said, Lasher, fuck off. No, she's like, fine, I'll keep it secret so we can keep talking, because she's curious about him. And it's like, bitch, you're supposed to be a brain surgeon. You're a brain doctor. Get some brains yourself. Like, I can't. It's like, stop trying to fuck the ghost. It's a demon spirit ghost. So nothing good's gonna come from this. Stop fucking with it. And just the icing on the cake here, topping it off with a cherry, Rowan also finds out she's pregnant. And she and Michael are very happy. They want to have kids. So she's like, I'm pregnant, I'm married, I'm happy. I have like a demon spirit thing I gotta deal with. But like overall, I'm still riding out my fuck it wave. I'm just gonna choose to be happy. Like, willful denial of like the problem here. So anyway, Michael does have to go back to San Francisco, because mind you, he just dropped his whole life and moved to New Orleans and got married. Like, he didn't like close his business or like sell his house. He has a lot of shit in San Francisco he has to take care of. So he goes back to San Francisco, and he's gonna do all that for like a couple weeks and then come back. Mind you, it takes much longer. It probably takes close to a month, because like, I think Lasher's like fucking with Michael in San Francisco, because the same thing with like Aaron, like little mischiefy things keep happening, and it keeps delaying when Michael can leave San Francisco. It all kind of comes to a head where like he almost gets hit by a car and killed, which is like, yeah, that's going past mischief into murder. So Michael's like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. Fuck all these little minor inconveniences. I don't really need to fix them. It'll be fine. Whilst he's away, Rowan and Lasher get to talking to each other. And Lasher goes on like this full, story of woe about how the original Mayfair witch Suzanne like summoned him. And in summoning him, she like bound him by love to like her and all of her descendants. And he all he wants is just to be human. He wants to be able to laugh and touch and be human, He's like full Little Mermaiding all over Rowan right now. And he's like, well, Rowan, wouldn't you just use your powers to give me a body? It's the least you could do, etc. The whole story of woe here. But at least Rowan has like some brains in her head, because she's like, bull fucking shit, Lasher. Oh, you did all of this out of love. No, you manipulated generations of Mayfairs. Also, it would come down to me existing who could possibly give you a body. Fuck you. Like she calls him out on his bullshit. She's like, no, cut the shit. And you would think like this would be a good point for her to like fight back against Lasher and like not help him and stuff, and yet she's still curious about this, and she's like, I don't know, maybe I could give you a body? Her mad scientist part of her brain is very intrigued by the potential of this situation. And it's like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Let's be real. But anyway, she it's just, I don't know, maybe it's like a curse. Maybe she's just in her blood where she's going to be curious about this. There's nothing she can do to stop it. And then, I'm just going to say it plainly. They just ghost bang a bunch. So Rowan, in love with Michael, pregnant with his baby, married to him, loves Michael with every ounce of her being, starts ghost banging Lasher. And the way she's like rationalizing it is it to be like consensual non-consent, where she wants this to be a sexual assault. She's consenting to a sexual assault. It's like a thing, and it's like, Rowan, I don't understand your reasoning here. Like 0%. I don't get why you were gonna ghost bang Lasher. You didn't have to ghost bang Lasher at all. Like, I get like he's manipulating you into it because he can manipulate your body with his like thoughts somehow. But it's just like, I don't care how horned up you got. You don't gotta fuck a ghost. I'm not trying to victim blame here. But I'm just saying, this didn't need to happen. I'm very confused about why this happens so many times. Just all the consensual non-consent ghost banging. A lot. For like a lot. There's a lot of ghost banging in this. I don't know. I guess like Rowan seems to have been corrupted, I guess, by Lasher somehow. When I was reading the book, it wasn't like, I didn't see like the corruption happen slow enough, considering this book is so long and drawn out. I didn't see enough seeds getting planted to understand the shift in her behavior well enough. It just kind of like all of a sudden she went from 0 to like, am I scheming or am I just like being overwhelmed by everything? I don't know. She's allegedly scheming kind of, but like not well. I don't know. It's just, I don't think her descent into like Lasher corruption was well done. It just seems very abrupt. But on a brighter note, Michael finally comes back from San Francisco and Rowan is very happy, even though she keeps like ghost banging Lasher on the side whilst Michael is home still, which is a lot. But guess what? It's also Christmas. It's Christmas in the book. It's a Christmas book technically because it happens at Christmas. Who knew? So it's Christmas Eve, right? Let's get some Christmas magic going here. So Michael, he's getting ready to start cooking Christmas dinner, right? And Rowan goes full psycho on him, and she's like, you need to get the fuck out of my house, Michael. Get out of my house. Get! And he's like, no, I'm not gonna go. You're acting crazy. What's going on here? Like, I know there's something with Lasher. I'm not stupid. And she's like, oh, Michael, you sweet summer child. And she just like, she like gets him with a syringe. She drugs him and he's like, bleh, and he like passes out. And so she calls like a guy, like one of her family guys, because he has like fixers in her family. She's like, hey, come pick him up and drop him off at Aaron's house. So like some guy comes and picks up drugged up Michael and takes him to Aaron's. Like, oh wow. So here's like the big plan, right? The big Christmas showdown with Rowan and Lasher. So Michael's gone, which is what Rowan wanted. So Lasher, he shows up, right? And she's like, all right, Lasher, it's time for a Christmas miracle. It's body making time. I'm going to make you a body. And her whole plan here, she's going to trick Lasher into like kind of like an inferior shitty body. And then she's going to like kill it with her power. So, and then it'll be good because Lasher will be dead. She'll have killed him. However, Lasher's like, this isn't a good plan. Like, obviously, I know what you're doing. Like, I am a demon. Like, I can tell your thoughts. Obviously, lady, we've been ghost banging for months. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you right now, the conclusion of this book is gonna get even weirder than it already has been. Like, I'm astonished. Buckle up, everybody. Grab a drink if you got it. Lasher, right? Who was not fooled by Rowan's grand scheme. You know what he does? He goes all ghosty and like leaps into Rowan's womb, just right up her into the womb, and she merges with her unborn child, and she goes into immediate labor and births it, and it's this little lasher baby, and then it grows really quickly into like a full-grown man baby, because it has like baby skin. It's brand new body and skin, but like man size, so it's a man baby. And I'm not even making this up. Like, ghost into her womb, joined with her baby, she births it, and then it becomes a man baby. Like, you could have paid me $1,000 and I would not have guessed that ever. I'm man baby. So yeah, that's a lot of body horror, but we're just gonna take a break on that for a second, because we cut back to Michael, right? He wakes up and it's the next morning, he's in the hospital with Aaron, and he's like, that bitch, she drugged me. I've gotta go save Rowan. Obviously something's going on here. So and he leaves the hospital and he goes to the Mayfair house after Rowan. He's like, something's going on. Michael finally meets Lasher in the actual flesh, his man baby flesh. And he's like, wow, you look a lot like Rowan and also like me. You're my baby, you're my son and a demon. And like, he is apoplectic. He just can't deal with this. So instead of like doing any talking, he's just like, nope, you need to die. So it's just like a Michael Lasher fight. And obviously, Lasher's gonna win this fight. Michael is close to 50 years old. And Lasher is a brand new, fresh-born man baby demon. And they get in a fight, and obviously, Lasher wins. And Michael, God damn it, Michael, he drowns again! He started off the book drowning, and he drowns again in their pool. However, luckily, Michael, that lucky son of a bitch, he doesn't stay dead. He gets resurrected again. The next thing he knows is that there's a fireman giving him like oxygen on the side of his pool, and like Aaron is with him because apparently like Rowan set off like the security alarms so that the help would come like right away and to save Michael, and then she fled with Lasher. So Rowan and Lasher are on the lam. They eventually, I think they like make it to like Switzerland, and Rowan sets it up with like the family attorneys that like Michael is now the official owner of the Mayfair house. It's his house now. She's given away the Mayfair house to Michael. And also he can have as much money as he wants out of the Mayfair estate. So she's still married to Michael. She's made him like the executor of like the inheritance. And yet she has run off with her adult baby demon lover. So here we go, everybody. And then Michael, he just continues to live in the house. And Aaron, he moves in with him, and they just do that. And Michael, his health isn't the best. You know, after drowning twice and like having like the big shock of your adult baby demon like try to kill you. So his health is like risky right now, and he just lives in the house, and he's kind of like convalescing with Aaron, and he just believes Rowan is gonna somehow triumph over Lasher and come back home to him. He still has faith in Rowan that like she has like a big plan here. And then that's the end of the book. You guys, like, it's so much. I can't with it. It's the most bizarre story ever. Adult man baby demon. It's an adult man with baby skin. And I'm like, I'm so disturbed. I'm so disturbed by that visual. So on that note, hot damn did I hate this. I really, really hated this book. And like, I've read some weird stuff by Anne Rice, and this is by far the weirdest one. So gross. Just all of the gross stuff. And like, I don't know. I can't tell if it's so brilliant or demented, or a fine line in between the two. I'm leaning more towards demented though, because like, oh boy, did I just hated this with all of my heart. The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. I read it so you don't have to. I did a public service. And I am going to watch the show though, because I looked up the casting for the show, and it's going to be so different than the book. Like, the main characters in the show are actually characters that are already dead when this starts. And like, Michael and Aaron aren't even in the cast, and I'm assuming they're combining both of those characters into one character who's new. So it's gonna be a completely different story. I'm thinking the show looks good and fun, and I'm gonna like that a lot, but like, oh boy, was this a lot. And there's 2 more books in this series, and frankly, I don't want to read them. I don't, because I know it's gonna be even grosser. On that note, I'm gonna just end it here. But let me know in the comments down below. Have you read this book? Did you like it or did you not like it? Are you excited for the TV show? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. The links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. And goodbye.